Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namah. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Deshatarine Namaste. Kiva Jayo Jayo Gora Chade Aroti Kashobha Kiva Jayo Jayo Jahana Vitata Bane Jagamanalabha Kiva Dakhe Nitai Chad Bame Gadadharo Kiva Dakhe Nitai Nikate Adaita Shini Basha Chatradhara Kiva Boshe Ache Gorachat Ratna Singhasan Kiva Boshe Ache Ararati Karana Brahma Adi Deva Gane Kiva Nara Hari Adi Kari Chamara Dhulaya Kiva Nara Hari Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Ghoshavadi Gaya Kiva Shankha Baje Ghanta Baje Baje Karatala আর মধুরা মৃদঙ্গ বাজে পরমরসালা মধুর শঙ্খ বাজে ঘণ্টা বাজে মধুর 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 বাজে শঙ্খ বাজে ঘণ্টা বাজে মধুর 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 বাজে গৌরাঙ্গের আরতি মাঝে মধুর 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 বাজে শঙ্খ বাজে ঘণ্টা বাজে মধুর 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 বাজে কিবা বহু কটি চন্দ্র জেনে বদনায় জালা কিবা বহু কটি গলদেশে বনমালা কার ঝালামালা শিবা শিবা সুখ নারদ প্রেম গদা গদ শিবা শিবা সুখ ভকতি বিনাদ দেখে গোরার সম্পাদ কিবা জয় জয় গোরাচারি আরতি কশোভা কিবা জয় আর জাহানাবে তাটা বনে জাগমনল ভা জয় শ্রী কৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু নিত্যানন্দ শ্রী অদ্বৈত গদাধর শিবাসাদি গৌর ভক্ত বৃন্দ জয় শ্রী কৃষ্ণ জয় শ্রী কৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু নিত্যানন্দ শ্রী অদ্বৈত গদাধর শিবাসাদি গৌর ভক্ত বৃন্দ জয় শ্রী কৃষ্ণ Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, please. Everyone, louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Nitai Gorango Nitai Gorango Nitai Gorango Nitai Gorango Nitai Gorango Gorare Nitai Gorango Gorare Gora 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 Hare Gora 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 Hare. Jai Sachinandana Gora Re Jai Sachinandana Gora Re. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Krishna 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 He Krishna 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 He Krishna 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 He Krishna 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 He. Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Swami Jai Jagannath. Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Swami Jai Jagannath. Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra. जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भावतो में जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भावतो में हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय राधा माधव श्री राधे जय निताय गौसुंदर निताय गौसुंदर जय निताय गौसुंदर जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I would like to request everyone, please raise your hands and chant from your heart. Okay. Hare Krishna. Little more louder. We have nice prasadam after class. Okay. More louder from your heart. If you really want to reach God, Krishna, you have to chant from your heart, not from your lips. Sound should come from your heart. When you love someone, you have to love from your heart, not from lips. If you smile for somebody, this is formalities. So we are here not for formalities. We really love Krishna. That should love come from heart. Diplomacy, politics come from conspiracy from here. Remember this. Okay, make a note. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Do you feel better? You have to feel more better? Okay, let's try more, once more. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So now please go down. Jai Dhani. Nitlila Pavishadyang Vishnupat Paramahansa Paribrachakacharya Ashtatra Shata Shri Srimad Abhay Charnarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Param Bhagavata Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki Sachidananda Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai Vaishnava Sarvabhaumati Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Saragoswami Prabhugane ki jai Prem Sheko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Adaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Syama Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan ki jai Shri Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham ki jai Dwarkamari Dham ki jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai जगन्नाथ पुरी शतधाम की जाए समवेद भक्त वृंद की जाए निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glorious assembled devotees all glorious assembled devotees all glorious assembled devotees all glorious Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
नमस्ते नरसे महाया नमस्ते नर नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते प्रह्लाद जाहिने प्रह्लाद हिरण्यकाशी पूर्वाक्ष शीलटङ्कानखालाये शीलटङ् हितो न सिंह परतो न सिंहाय यतो यतो यामि ततो न सिंहाय यतो बहेन सिंहरदयेन सिंहाभये बहीन सिंहरदयेन सिंहा बहीन सिंहरदयेन सिंहाभयेन सिंहर नरसिंहमदि शरणा प्रपदे नरसिंहमदि शरणा प्रपदे तव कर कमल बरेनाका अद्भुत सिंह दलिता हिरण्यकशिपो तनो भृंगा केशवदिता नरहरि रूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे Tano Bringa केशवधीता नरहरि रूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवदीप नरहरि रूप जय जग जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी जय प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज भगवान की जय प्रह्लाद महाराज की जय हिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Welcome to ISKCON Baltimore, New Kulina Gram Dham, aboard of Sri Sri Nitai Gaur Sundar, Sri Sri Radha Madhav, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, and our dear most Srila Prabhupada. First of all, thank you all for making the Gaur Purnima festival a big, grand success. Haribol! Let's thank our pujaris and great volunteers who did a very great job on that day also. Even today you can see they have dressed the deities very nicely. So let's give a big round of applause for our pujaris. Today we have, I guess, Sasmita Mataji is not here. So I think we have no birthdays or anybody's birthday is there? Okay, so nobody's birthday is there today. So few announcements. First announcement is, as we've been announcing, the next festival to happen is Ramanavami festival. That is going to be on April 10th. And it happens to be a Sunday. So it will be very convenient for everyone. So please mark your calendar, April 10th. We will have a nice program here in the evening, starting at 4:30 onwards. So please try to be there on a time, so we can start the festival on a time, 4:30 to 7 o'clock or so. We'll have the festival over here in the temple. Next festival after that would be Narsingh Chaturdasi. We'll be putting the information out. Narsingh Chaturdasi, we do a grand yagya outside the temple. We'll be organizing. And this time we are trying to get a lot of participants to come. If you need more details about the festival, myself, Vidur Prabhu, Adhokshesh Prabhu will be there in the lobby. We can provide you information. And then another grand festival after that is Rath Yatra, which is happening at the Memorial Day weekend. So I'm just announcing all the festivals so that you can mark your calendar and you can have all the information ready. To pass it on to your friends when they ask what is happening next at ISKCON Baltimore. So the Rath Yatra festival, please mark it. It's not going to be on a Sunday, but it's going to be on a Saturday. Memorial Day weekend, Saturday, we are doing the festival. And it will be happening in downtown, starting from the Federal Hill, starting point of Key Highway. And then we'll drive down all the way walk down all the way to the McKeldin Square. So that's where we'll have the Pandal program. So that being said, we have another great festival that I have been telling. So that will be in June. So probably we are looking at possible dates that would not conflict with other temple festivals. So we almost have finalized on a date. We'll be announcing that pretty soon. So that would be the 50th anniversary of our temple. As you know, it's been 50 years since ISKCON Baltimore has been there. And it's also 50th anniversary for Lord Jagannath. So this Rath Yatra that would be happening in New York. So it will be a big celebration in New York temple as well, because their Rath Yatra happens about second week in June. So that will be also a grand celebration. So please mark all these dates. We'll be putting all the dates and all the information on our WhatsApp group, website, and Facebook pages. So please keep a note of that. Other than that, I have announcement from Paramdham Prabhu, Premdham Prabhu. Say about the course.
Hare Krishna. Just a quick reminder, we are offering two courses. One is the ISKCON Disciple course, which is more of an introduction about ISKCON. It's the principles and the regulations that we follow. It's a prerequisite for the people seeking initiation in the ISKCON system. And the second one is Bhakti Shastri, which is a systematic study of 4 important books that Prabhupada have given us. That's the Nectar of Instruction, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Shobnishad and the Nectar of Devotion. And that's happening pretty soon. So we have the information on the WhatsApp group, and we'll be posting on the Facebook page too, and the website also. So please look that up, and please plan to attend if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Also, a quick announcement. We have noticed that many parents, they leave their kids unattended. So would like to request, if you can, please keep an eye on, we have a temple policy that, no kids should go unattended anywhere in the building. So those parents who are here attending the program would request, if you can, keep an eye on your kids. We don't want to have any problem. I see a lot of kids running around, especially backside, stairs, and things like that. So would request if parents could please keep them with them, possible, or, possibly downstairs in the prasadam in a main area where the kids could be there. That would be great. Thank you very much. So let me introduce today's speaker. Today's speaker is His Grace Vivek Prabhu. Haribol. So Vivek Prabhu is a great preacher and practitioner of Bhakti Yoga, and he's very learned, and he has a vast knowledge that we'll be hearing, and he's very actively involved in preaching activities at our temple, and he is joined by his wife, who's also a very active, a preacher and a practitioner of Bhakti here at our temple. So let's welcome His Grace Vivek Prabhu. Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Zoom is. Yeah, I'm logged in. I think he has. He's Zoom. Okay, it is there. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I need sharing rights. He needs to make me co-host. Sham Prabhu. Okay, by that time I can start. Let me share. Okay. Hope everyone can see. Yeah, Hare Krishna, everyone. So today we'll be talking about or discussing about the secret for self-realization. So many of us come to the temple probably for a long time, but it's fine now. Yeah, but none of us are really aware, or it's Krishna consciousness is a big science that Srila Prabhupada has given to all of us, and I just thought it is wise for us to discuss and really understand the secret behind the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas. We can start with the prayers. This particular bhajan that our dear founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, whenever he travels and gives a class, he recites these prayers. This was composed by one of the Acharyas, and he recites these prayers with such devotion. He remembers Krishna and his eternal dham of Golok Vrindavan. So let's all chant just to please Srila Prabhupada. जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be referring to Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It is from the 3rd chapter, 21st verse. And let us recite together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I will recite one line. You can, if possible, repeat. Yat yat acharati shreshtas tat tat evetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Yadyad acharati shreshtas tattad evetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Translation: whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Purport by our founder Acharya Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. People in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called an acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra, or scripture, to teach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and similar others are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principles of such standard shastras. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by the great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. I'm just going to repeat this again because we are going to hook on to this particular verse or sentence that Srila Prabhupada mentions. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. The king or the executive head of a state, the father, and the school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. So the current things that are going on in this in our lives, we can see a lot of calamities and problems caused to people around us. I don't want to get into specifics, but generally people are aware of all the problems that people are facing around the world. So problems are inevitable in our lives. It is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Padam Padam Yad Vipadam Natesham. Every step is a danger in our life. We were discussing this Friday. Srila Prabhupada gave this example of somebody driving a car. So someone mentioned to Prabhupada, I am not scared of death. Srila Prabhupada said, do you drive a car? He said, yes. Do you stop your vehicle when you see a signal? He said, yes. That means you're afraid of death. So this is a practical example that all of us can understand that death is inevitable. So having understood that, we should not really waste all our energy. Of course, we need to maintain our body and mind according to Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas, but that's not about it. We need to inquire who we really are, where did we come from, who made all this that surround us, why am I in darkness, why I am sometimes happy and most of the times distressed and in anxiety, who's responsible for all these things, how am I connected with that person? And Srila Prabhupada mentions that problems of life cannot be solved simply by attempting to going to the moon or any other planet. That's not going to really solve our problems, because this material world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam, meaning it's temporary and it's full of anxieties that Srila Prabhupada mentions in Bhagavad Gita. And Sri Krishna also mentions that. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in Sri Isha Upanishad, it's a very interesting analogy. He says that we should not simply try to increase our fever, meaning if somebody is not well, his temperature rises up. Maybe it goes to 105, 104, 107. That's pretty dangerous if it goes that high. But Srila Prabhupada says that we should not simply try to increase our fever or temperature. A sane person will try to bring down the temperature of his body. So he says that we should try to bring the temperature back to normal, which means that we need to see our connection, where we belong to. I'm not happy here. Everyone understands that we are not happy here. Everyone is seeking. But then a sane person should try to understand the truth as it is revealed in the scriptures. So how to find the truth? This is what every one of us have this question, right? So where do I go and find answer for all these questions? And the ways of acquiring knowledge is two processes. One is ascending process, like we try to climb up the ladder. That is knowledge acquired through our imperfect senses. We try to find through some research or some experiments. And then the descending process, which is knowledge acquired coming from hearing, not by seeing or perceiving, coming from hearing through some bona fide sources or coming directly from the Supreme Lord. We will see why that is more effective. And how do we, what are the three kinds of evidences? How do we check this? Okay, I'm choosing probably either one of these processes, but how do I check whether these processes are valid, right? So the three kinds of evidences, Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Shabda. Pratyaksha means, like we discussed, we try to see and try to believe. Many people ask Srila Prabhupada, how do I see God? Can you show me God? Because our immediate perceive, whatever we see, we believe. Right? Say, for example, the example given is, sun appears to be small for us from here, but everyone knows that sun is not this small. It's probably larger than all the planets within our solar system. And Anuman Praman means speculative. I sit here based on my knowledge that I've gained during my school or my college career or whatever it may be. I try to speculate things. And we can see several of the philosophers, they have been speculating for centuries, but they have not really been able to solve the problems of life, of birth, old age, disease, and death. People have been coming and going, several great personalities, but no real progress in really finding the solution for the real problems of life. And the last one is Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman means knowledge received by hearing from an authoritative source, meaning we hear from an authoritative source or the Vedas or the Shrutis and the Smritis coming directly from the Supreme Lord. The reason why that is the most effective way or means by which we can really understand who we really are is because it is coming from a person who is not affected by the four tendencies that we have as human beings. Cheating, we have tendency to cheat, we have tendency to commit mistakes, we are illusioned, and we have imperfect senses. So with all these deficiencies that as human beings we have, we cannot understand the real person who's in charge of or who has created everything that we are seeing around us. So Shabda Praman or the Vedas, as explained by Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas, give us the access to answer all our questions, all questions under the sun, that we have been looking for life after life under different bodies. And okay, we have come to an understanding that, okay, we have to go and refer to Shastra or Vedas. But the problem in today's scenario is there are so many people who are claiming to read Vedas and Shastras and trying to explain people. But Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice reality of today's world, that there are so many pseudo-religionists and pseudo-worshippers who become religionists for the sake of name and fame. Such pseudo-religionists do not wish to get out of this universe and reach the spiritual sky or the spiritual kingdom of God. Their sole motive is to only maintain the status quo in this material world. Just by satisfying their senses, just by getting some material profits, they read the same Bhagavad Gita, they read the same Vedas and the Shrutis, and they try to concoct the information that is being given in these Shastras and try to confuse people. And what happens is the people who are following these pseudo-religionists also, according to Sri Ishopanishad, we have that book on the shelf. According to Sri Ishopanishad, a person leading like a blind man leading a blind man. Everyone goes into the darkest region of material existence, according to Sri Ishopanishad. There is no happiness in this life or the next life for such people. So it's a great warning for all of us that we shouldn't be bewildered by some black magic or somebody showing some magic coming from their hands or something and try to think that that person is a true religionist. Actual religious person or a person who's practicing religious principles should come from a bona fide disciplic succession. This is the way to check a person whether he's speaking the truth or not. That person has to be connected. A chain of disciplic succession means a person needs to be connected until the Supreme Personality of Godhead, until Lord Sri Krishna or Lord Sri Vishnu. As mentioned in the scriptures, we need to find that link up to the Supreme Lord. If we are not able to find a link to the absolute truth, then we cannot rely on such person's speech or his books or his talks. But as soon as a person hears from a person talking in disciplic succession, like Srila Prabhupada, one of the Vaishnava Acharyas, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he mentions, it is like an electric current. An electric current which flows can create wonders, can glow light. So that we can see the Supreme Lord, because we are not that qualified to see the Supreme Lord in darkness. It can create wonderful things, electric current, but such electric current is flowing through the disciplic succession. Any sincere person who wants to understand the absolute truth gains access to this electric current of disciplic succession, his or her life changes. It is guaranteed. And that is what we will be discussing today. So we saw in the purport that Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees. That is the way of progress on spiritual realization. So we are going to take this statement that Srila Prabhupada mentions. Why is he giving stress to this? Because the verse today that we spoke in Bhagavad Gita says that whoever follows a great man, right? Whoever follows a great man, common man follows a great man, right? That's the way standards are set. Unfortunately, in today's education, people are just going towards mundane way of teaching kids and college students how to finally do the same kind of sense gratification that we have been doing life after life after life in different bodies. But nobody really gives the actual information that that person has to really know in his life. Because human form of life is so rare. It is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam that one has to utilize this opportunity of human life. And how to follow the great devotees. And in Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned that there are 12 Mahajans, 12 great personalities, not to be found in this material world. They are Lord Brahma, Bhagavan Naradan, Lord Narad Muni, Lord Shiva, the 4 Kumaras, Lord Kapila, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, Grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami, and I myself know the religious principle. Who is this I? Yamaraj. It'll be very startling for us, for many of us. Many of us, at least I can speak to myself, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we all treat Yamaraj to be a scary personality because we know only one side of his life. But he's such a great Mahajan. He's listed as one of the 12 Mahajans. Can you believe it? He's one of the personalities, if somebody can follow his teachings, we can understand the absolute truth and we can enter into the kingdom of God. That's Yamaraj. None of us are really aware of it. So, what do these 12 Mahajans actually do? Their sole purpose is to meditate on the Supreme Lord always, sing His glories, and go and preach to everyone about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Lord Shiva, it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, he's always meditating on Lord Sankarshan, on Lord Vasudev. 24 hours he's meditating on Lord Vasudev. There are many instances within Srimad Bhagavatam that many people misunderstand Lord Shiva because he's always in rapt thoughts of the Supreme Lord. And we will be taking this one great Mahajan listed in the 12 Mahajans, that is Sri Prahlad Maharaj. And we will just take one verse, a glorification that he speaks in glorifying Lord Sri Narasimhadev. This is explained in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where after Hiranyakashipu is being killed by Lord Narasimhadev, Lord Narasimhadev is fearing with anger. Still, he is not able to control his anger even after killing Hiranyakashipu. And all the demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Goddess Lakshmi, everyone is around, but nobody is able to calm down Lord Narasimhadev. And at that time, all the demigods asked the 5-year-old boy, Prahlad Maharaj, to climb up and go and pacify Lord Narasimhadev. And of course, Prahlad Maharaj did it, and he glorified Lord Narasimhadev. There are several prayers, and this is one of the prayers. He mentions, my dear Lord, you appear in various incarnations as a human being, an animal, a great saint, a demigod, a fish, or a tortoise, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary systems and killing the demoniac principles. According to the age, O my Lord, you protect the principles of religion. In the age of Kali, however, you do not assert yourself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore you are known as Tri Yuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas. So, because we wanted to follow a Mahajan and we have picked Prahlad Maharaj, and he's giving this very, very important verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he's revealing a big secret which is not known to any one of us, any one of the people outside, not known for the people who even read the Vedas. That's the reason why he's saying, oh my dear Lord, you appear in all the 3 yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapara Yuga, but in Kali Yuga, you don't appear. He mentions in the Sanskrit verse of this verse, he mentions Channa Avatar. Channa Avatar means covered incarnation. He's covered. We will see why. Generally, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is known to be above the modes of material nature. He is not affected by any of the things within this material world that we all go through. That's the definition of the Supreme Lord. Nobody can claim to be God. Their definition of God is he should have all 6 opulences and he should never be affected by any of the distresses that we go through in this material world. If somebody claims to be God, if he goes to a dentist, he is not a God. Srila Prabhupada gives this very funny example. So, the Lord appears in all 3 yugas. But in Kali Yuga, he is in covered form. Why? Lord Sri Krishna, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago. And he spoke the very 2 crucial verses that many of us might have heard it. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma suchaha. Ma suchaha, he says, do not worry, simply surrender unto me, I will give you all protection. And then he gave the most confidential instruction that many of us were not aware of until a person like Srila Prabhupada came. The most confidential instruction is Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam eveshyasi yuktvaevam atmanam mat parayanaha. Thank you, Prabhu. So he mentions that always remember me, offer obeisances unto me, But even after giving these instructions, many people were not able to follow him. What to speak of follow him? It is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam when Sri Krishna descended in Dwapara Yuga. Even in the dynasty of Yadus, where Lord Krishna descended, many people didn't know he was the Supreme Lord. So what to speak of common people like us? Nobody didn't know who's Krishna, and nobody didn't understand his instructions. And Lord Shri Krishna, being a loving father and a mother, he thought, I need to go and teach by an example. Because it is explained that, like we read in the purport of Srila Prabhupada, and how Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches, that an Acharya should teach by an example. So, the Supreme Lord thought, okay, there is a lot going on in Kali Yuga, so I need to descend again to go and teach these people. So out of his causeless mercy, this time the Supreme Lord descends, not to teach the same instructions again, but to set as an example by following those instructions. And he came as a devotee. And he was born in the land of Navadvip as the son of Mother Shachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra. And his name was, he was named as Vishwambar when he was born. And then later he was called as Nimai. And then when he grew up and when he accepted a guru, he was called Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, we will discuss okay, Sri Krishna came as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but for what? Two external reasons. One reason, he taught by example, how to always think of Krishna and never forget him. How to always think of Krishna? He knew that the people of Kali Yuga were dull-headed. We are dull-headed. We should accept it. We cannot accept many of the transcendental explanations which are coming from a different realm altogether. So he thought, okay, these people are not ready yet to understand everything. Let me make it simple. He taught how to chant the holy names of the Lord. Simply by doing this one thing with sincerity, with taking full shelter, any person from any part of the world with no absolutely any background requirement, because in the Vedas there is so many mantras and tantras, you have to be really qualified to chant certain mantras. But he gave the holy names, that if anybody chants this holy name, anyone can, within a very, very short period of time compared to other yugas, Lord Krishna's presence will be revealed to that person. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. And when he was a baby, we'll just go through one pastime of his. So how do we accept an incarnation? That's another thing that will come to our mind. We cannot accept anybody and anyone as an incarnation. An incarnation has to be mentioned in the Shastra. That incarnation should have not just mentioned his name, his father's name, his mother's name, where he will be born. All needs to be mentioned and quoted in the Shastra. And he should have performed wonderful activities, non-human-like activities, not activities that we perform in our day-to-day life. So Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was a baby, he was called Little Nimai. And Nimai, when he was very, very, very small, he was living along with his parents, Sri Jagannath Mishra and Sri Sachi Devi, in Navadvip, in the land of Navadvip, and they were living happily. And one day, a Brahmana comes to their home. And this Brahmin is holding a Shaligram Dedi. I'm not sure, many of you might be aware of Shaligram Dedi. It's a naturally manifested form of Lord Vishnu, which is found only in the Gandaki river in Nepal. So he worships the Shaligram Dedi, and every day he used to just walk along different paths. And whatever food that Krishna gives him by mercy, he accepts, and he always keeps chanting Krishna's names. He's such a pure soul. And he by chance comes to Jagannath Mishra's home. And Sri Jagannath Mishra, being a very wonderful Vaishnav, he invites this Brahmin inside his home, and he's very jubilant. It is said that any sane person, Vaishnav is a very elevated person, but even a guest who comes to our home, it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam that we should at least give them water. That's our culture. If we don't give water or do anything to that guest, it's considered to be so disrespectful to that guest. So Jagannath Mishra, he knew that this person, this Brahmin was such a great Vaishnav. So he invites him home and he says that such an exalted devotee like you has stepped into our home. It will be very, very inauspicious for us if we leave you by not feeding you. So he tells the Brahmin, okay, we will clean all the kitchen. You can cook by yourself. We'll keep all the fruits and vegetables ready and the rice and everything ready. You can cook and offer it to your Shaligram Gopal deity. And then you can give the offerings as prasad to us. And then you can also partake the prasad. So they, Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, they clean the kitchen. This Brahmana goes inside, he cooks, the food or the bhoga is ready. He comes and offers it to his Gopal deity. He chants the Gopal mantra. And while he was chanting, suddenly little Nimai comes from nowhere. He comes and he takes a palm full of rice from the bowl he was offering to the Gopal deity and he just puts it in his mouth. And as soon as this Brahmin finishes his mantra chanting and opens, he sees little Nimai having rice in his hand and in his mouth and standing right in front of him, just like a small kid stands in front of their father and mother. And this Brahmin gets shocked. Alas, alas, what has happened? What is going on here? He shouts. And his father, Jagannath Mishra, comes running. And he sees what has happened and he starts chasing Nimai with a stick in his hand. And he goes running behind little Nimai. And this Brahmin, he sees his father going behind little Nimai and he stops Jagannath Mishra. Please, he's such a small child. He doesn't know what he's doing. Please do not punish him. See, I'm actually just a wandering Brahmin. I don't usually eat this rice and everything, such opulent food. I usually just take simple fruits and vegetables. That's enough for me. You don't have to make such big offerings. Then Jagannath Mishra feels very bad. He says, no, you have to cook again. Because we cannot leave you like this. Our house will become totally inauspicious if you don't feed a Brahmana like you. Then he somehow convinces the Brahmin to cook for the second time. And this time, what Jagannath Mishra does is, he keeps Nimai in his neighborhood's home, so that Nimai cannot come and disturb this Brahmin again. So the Brahmin again goes to the kitchen. Jagannath Mishra and Shachimata clean the kitchen again. Brahmin cooks again, cooks the same food, brings the bhoga, and while the same time, little Nimai is with his other Matajis who are there in the neighborhood, the ladies. And the ladies are just like cuddling and playing with the small baby. They are playing with the little Nimai. And they are telling little Nimai, they don't know who Nimai is, by the way. And they are telling little Nimai, why are you doing this? Why are you taking the offering from a Brahmana? Do you even know if he's really a Brahmana? You might lose your caste. How can you even take some food from a person whom we don't even know before? And little Nimai doesn't, he just smiles. He doesn't answer. And then the ladies, while playing with him, little Nimai, while playing with these ladies, somehow or the other sneaks through. He sneaks through and comes to his home, where the Brahmin is again offering. So the Brahmin sits down, again keeps the bhoga in front of his Gopal deity, and starts chanting his Gopal mantra. And then little Nimai comes again. And again he takes a handful of rice and puts it in his mouth. And again the Brahmin opens his eyes and sees little Nimai. Alas, alas, again, this boy of yours has again disturbed my offering. And Jagannath Mishra comes again, and he comes and puts his hand in his head and he thinks, what kind of a thief are you? Why are you doing this in our home? He's a guest. And he starts screaming at this little baby Nimai. And then this Brahmin again goes and consoles Jagannath Mishra. Then the Brahmin really pours out his heart and he says, maybe Krishna doesn't want me to take rice today. Maybe I shouldn't be eating this opulent food, I should probably leave now. This is probably destined for me because it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in the very first verse. Janmad asya yataha, meaning Krishna, Lord Vasudeva is the cause of all causes. All causes means he's cause of everything, whatever is going on in our life. So this Brahmin really meant that statement. He said, Krishna doesn't want me to eat today. So I should not be doing this again. And at that juncture, little Nimai's elder brother, Vishwarup, he comes. And it is explained that Sri Vishwarup, who's non-different from Lord Nityananda Prabhu, whom we see on the left-hand side of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is non-different from Lord Balaram. And he comes like a towering personality, so effulgent, and this Brahmin sees Vishwarup, and he's stunned seeing by his presence. His mere presence makes this Brahmin go, he's frozen just by seeing him. And he sees and asks, who is this personality? He looks so effulgent. And someone comes and tells he's Sri Jagannath Mishra's eldest son. And then then Vishwarup, he pleads to the Brahmin, just like his father. He falls on his feet, please don't leave us. We want you to feel satisfied or happy when you leave our home. It's a great lesson for us, right? If somebody comes to our home, we should always make sure that he or she leaves with a happy note when they come to our home, not otherwise. So Vishwarup, after begging the Brahmin for a long time, the Brahmin finally agrees. So the third time, again Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata go to the kitchen. Again they clean the kitchen. Again the Brahmin goes and cooks. And this time, what they do is they put little Nimai inside a room, make him sleep, lock up the room from outside, and they said, this time for sure little Nimai will not come out. And now the Brahmin goes and cooks. He brings the boga again, offers it to his Gopal deity, chants the Gopal mantra, and he sits. And little Nimai, while the Brahmin is offering, he makes everyone in the home asleep. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has different energies. One is called Yogamaya potency, meaning he can do wonderful things that the other person is not even aware of. So with that potency, he makes his mother, father, and everyone in his home asleep. And this Brahmana is offering. And while he's ringing the bell, again Nimai comes and takes a handful of rice, puts it in his mouth, and he's standing right in front of the Brahmin. The Brahmin, after offering, he opens his eyes and he sees little Nimai and he's shocked. And this time he didn't utter a word. And then he's just thinking, what's happening? Again the same boy, where did he come from? And he's looking around, nobody is there. And then at that juncture, our little Nimai, he transforms himself into an 8-arm form of Lord Sri Krishna. And in those 2 arms of those 8 arms, or the 4 arms, he was holding Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. And with 2 hands, he was holding the flute. And with the remaining 2 hands, with one hand he was holding a pot with butter, and with the other hand he was taking the butter and eating it. And by seeing this form, the Brahmin is stunned. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He saw this form of the Lord, and he was trying to speak something, he couldn't. And the Lord said, why are you shouting? Why are you feeling angry? You were the one who were chanting and asking me to accept the offering. You were the one who were calling me by chanting the Gopal mantra. Why are you shouting and being angry? You call me, so I am coming. I came here 2 times before. You did not recognize me. And then this Brahmin, he was generally, it is explained that nobody gets to see the Supreme Lord that easily. And this Brahmin, after getting the darshan of the Supreme Lord, he was exhibiting ecstatic symptoms. His hands was trembling. His voice was choking. There are different symptoms of a great devotee when he goes into trance, or actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead reveals himself to that person. There are different manifestations that a person goes through. And this devotee or this Brahmin was going through all the ecstatic symptoms. And he was on the ground. And every time he will faint. And again he will get up, seeing the 8-armed form of the Lord. And again he will faint. Again he will get up, again he will faint. So like this was happening many times. And the Supreme Lord tells to this Brahmin that in my previous incarnation of Lord Sri Krishna in Dwapara Yuga, you were there in my father's home of Nanda Maharaj. And even then, you cooked and you fed me. Life after life, you are my eternal servant. And every life, I will take your offering. And in this age of Kali, I have descended to give everyone the mercy of chanting the holy names of the Lord and attain pure love of God easily, which is not even available in any yuga, even to the demigods like Lord Brahma. Even the demigods are wanting to come to earth, especially in Kali Yuga, to be born and chant the holy names of the Lord. And this is the reason why I have descended in this Kali Yuga. And as soon as he tells this, the Brahmin is still stunned. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he says, by the way, if you dare to tell this to any of the people within the home or anyone in Navadvip, then I don't know what will happen. And he warns the Brahmin and he tells this, and the Brahmin, he keeps quiet. And the Supreme Lord again transforms himself to baby Nimai. And again he runs inside his room, locks himself up. And this Brahmin, in his ecstasy, he takes it is actually Mahaprasad now, because the Supreme Lord has already eaten. So he takes that rice, he's just putting it all over his body in ecstatic symptoms, and he's dancing in ecstasy that he has got the darshan of his dear Lord, whom he's chanting mantras every single day. This is what Srila Prabhupada has given to all of us, irrespective of who we are, where we are coming from. He wanted everyone to come up to that level of realizing the Supreme Lord. And because this Brahmin was shouting so much, everyone in the home wake up and they come running towards this Brahmin. And this Brahmin suddenly remembered the Supreme Lord's warning. And he just calms down and he doesn't tell anything to anyone, because he knows that if he reveals his secret, then the Supreme Lord will actually remove the mercy from him. So this Brahmin, he decides not to wander anywhere anymore. He decides that he will stay in Navadvip only. And every day, this Brahmin, he will not tell anyone. He will daily come to Jagannath Mishra's home and simply be amazed by seeing the pastimes of Baby Nimai. And this was the benediction that this Brahmana actually caught. So it's already 6 o'clock. We don't have time to go through another pastime, but I would like to quickly go through some scriptural evidences of the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes. Jai Shri Radha Madhav Bhagwan ki Jai, Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Sundar Bhagwan ki Jai, Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maya ki Jai. So one may ask, okay, we did mention that all these are mentioned in several scriptures. There are several scriptures that predict the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are over 100 scriptures. Due to lack of time, just few references. One from Narasimha Puran. It states that the Supreme Lord in the Satya Yuga appeared as a half man, half lion to cure a terrible disease that had ravaged Daityas, and whom Treta Yuga appeared as Lord Ram, a person who defeated the 10-headed Ravana, and who in Dwapara Yuga removed the earth's burden and protected the Gopa people of Rajapura, will appear again in Kali Yuga. His form will be golden. He will delight in chanting the holy names of Lord Hari, and his name will be Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this one is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yajnai Sankirtana Prayai Yajantihi Sumedasaha. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he appeared in a golden form. He is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. And then there are several Puranas and Vedas where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance has been predicted. And as we mentioned that, his parents' names also should be mentioned. And it is mentioned in Garuda Puran. Aham Purno Bhavishyami Yuga Sando Visheshataha Maya Pure Navadvipe Bhavishyami Shachi Sutaha. In my original spiritual form, perfect and complete, I will become the son of Shachi Devi in Navadvip, Mayapur, at the beginning of Kali Yuga. So there are several evidences, and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just came for this one purpose. I shouldn't say one purpose, one of the external reasons why he descended, because in this age, like we discussed, there is no other way. It is mentioned in Shastra that Harer Nama eva kevalam kalau nastyeva gatiranyata, meaning there is no other way. It's mentioned 3 times, giving importance that just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one will gain spiritual success. And this is the crux of the Bhakti Yoga teachings that Srila Prabhupada came to teach us, that anyone, doesn't matter whether he or she is a small child or a very old person or from a different country, different race, doesn't matter. Anybody can take up this process of chanting. And Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught not only chanting the holy names of the Lord, but he also taught how to chant the holy name of the Lord. And he also taught how to always remain in the association of devotees. Because if you see, when the Supreme Lord came as a devotee, he didn't behave like God. If somebody called him Lord Vishnu, he would close his ears and run away from that place, because he knew in Kali Yuga there are so many pseudo-religionists, like we saw how Prabhupada described. So many people will pretend to be God. So he didn't want to expose himself to be as God. Only to his very, very dear devotees, like we saw this Brahmin. There's so many dear devotees of him, he actually revealed himself as a Supreme Lord. And then he taught how to chant the holy name of the Lord by being humble as a blade of grass, not expecting any respect from others, and being tolerant as a tree. In this state of mind, one can constantly chant the holy name of the Lord. This was his crux. This was the crux of his teaching. And in order to get to that state of understanding, we need to associate with devotees. This is what he taught. He was always surrounded by devotees. He was never alone. He never thought that, he never knew that, I shouldn't say knew, he never revealed himself that he is Supreme Lord and I can be alone always. Almost all the times he was with devotees. He would make other devotees sit down and read Srimad Bhagavatam. He will ask his associates to propagate the teachings. He gave only 8 verses throughout his life while he was in this planet, 500 years ago. And it is explained that Lord Sri Krishna appears in one day of Brahma. One day of Brahma is many trillions of years. All right? And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears not every one day of Brahma. And that same Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord himself, appeared 500 years ago for us. Srila Prabhupada mentions, if a person misses this opportunity, we don't know when we will get this opportunity again. So that's the reason why whenever we chant, if somebody has come to the temple for the first time, just for their benefit, I am just repeating. That's the reason why we chant the Panchatattva mantra. Every single time before we chant the Hare Krishna Maha mantra, we chant Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. He didn't come alone, by the way. He came along with his associates. We read a verse, Sangopanga Astra Parshadam, as weapons, not the real weapons. He came with his weapons of his associates to actually teach how to be a devotee, how to chant the holy names of the Lord, how to treat each other, how to become devotees, how to associate with each other, how to have loving relationship with devotees, because these are the things that we have to do when we go to the spiritual world. So he came here to teach how to be a devotee. And that's why we chant this Panchatattva mantra before chanting Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda. These are 5 different personalities, including Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who have descended just to give this mercy of how to chant the holy names of the Lord. By simply following them as it is given, like we saw, like Sri Prahlad Maharaj teaches and the great Mahajans teaches, simply following these great men, one can gain spiritual realization in this very lifetime. This is a guarantee given by a man who is coming from spiritual world, not a man who is staying in this world. And Acharya descends. It is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that Lord Shri Krishna descends time and again to actually explain to people that this is not your place. But sometimes he doesn't come. He sends his representatives. So such a representative who is there in a bona fide disciplic succession has given this rare treasure for us of how to chant the holy names of the Lord by following the teachings of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By putting a blade of grass in my mouth as a servant of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, I simply beg everyone, please do not miss this opportunity. It's the most rarest opportunity that all of us have got. The proof is in the pudding. If anyone sincerely chants, you will realize all the teachings that's given by Srila Prabhupada in the books and all his disciples are telling. And you will feel like sharing it with going and sharing it with others. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Nobody has to tell. We will feel, I have got something rare. I want to go and tell this to others so that everyone can be saved. Srila Prabhupada wanted everyone to be happy, not just Baltimore. He wanted the entire world to be happy. When Srila Prabhupada was there, he traveled 14 times around the world. For what? He traveled to remote places of Brazil. There are several stories where people of remote parts of the world, by taking teachings of Lord Chaitanya, have perfected their lives. This is the rarest opportunity that we have got. By saying this, I'll conclude. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Yeah, if anyone has anything to share or comment, or anything that you would like to clarify, we can spend maybe a couple of minutes. Hare Krishna. Yes. Yeah, almost all the Mahajans' teachings are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So yeah, we can read from Srimad Bhagavatam and try to understand their teachings. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, yes, Prabhu. So how to follow a devotee is again back to the same explanation that we saw in the purport of Srila Prabhupada. He says that we have to follow somebody who's following a great personality. That is the first qualification of following somebody, is being Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's primary teaching is to be a servant of the servant of the servant of the devotees of the Lord. Meaning, if I want to follow somebody, that person should be following a bona fide representative or a guru. And if he follows that, not simply following, practices that in his life, and we can see that in his life, that this person is transformed by following a bona fide process, then we will automatically be able to follow that person. And that is the way that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught, and Srila Prabhupada and his disciples are preaching all over the world now. Simply by seeing, we can see that Srila Prabhupada's disciples predominantly are from the western side. They didn't have any idea, at least to our perception, that they didn't have any idea about Vedic culture or Vedic teachings. But simply by following a great personality like Srila Prabhupada and actually practicing it in their life, they have perfected their lives. And we can see, perfected means by conduct. Krishna consciousness is, Srila Prabhupada often says, and my beloved spiritual master, he also says that Krishna consciousness is not just by wearing a dhoti or a kurta or actually applying a tilak. It is actually the change in etiquette, Vaishnava etiquette or culture. Because that's what Krishna eventually sees. And in that mood only we can actually chant the holy name of the Lord with sincerity. And this is how we can identify a person. Whether that person is actually, in the purport also, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually sees a person who actually practices it. So we should follow such a person. And the great devotees or disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they mentioned that if somebody is sincere, they will find that person. And we will find them. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.